I think you're sadly mistaken if you think you're going to get married or whatever and have somebody that'll cook what you want, not what they want to cook. You know, some of them, some you might get one that likes to cook or likes to satisfy their family, but I'm guessing 90% of the females out there got married for free ride or basically for a free ride, you know, along with other stuff. They get this, that, and the other. They get acceptance into the core of people that breed and have kids so they can hang that over other people's heads that haven't contributed to the burden of the planet. And but what I'm trying to say is, if you think you're going to get something from them, I'm just sitting here making a freaking cake. And I remember ever growing up, if I asked for something, I'd get it. I don't think you know, because I'd ask, you know, for this, that, and the other to be cooked. You know, I'd say, hey man, that was real good. Could you make that again sometime? No, no, not gonna happen. Because you know, there's too many ingredients, this, that, or the other. And but I mean, it's, you know, as far as somebody being, in fact, nowadays all the stuff coming out, you know, all the people through the time, through all these protests of women, you know, against men and how they're treated. I don't think, I don't think it's going to get better for people to get married. In fact, my guess is the divorce rate's going to go sky high, and it's probably going to hit like 65%. Right now it's what, at 50%? I'm guessing it's going to increase because they're going to, you know, all these people just get married because they think, well, sex is, you know, they think, well, we got to test out the sex to see if the sex is good. Sex is what, maybe 1 to 5%, unless you're, you know, sex addicts. It might jump up to 15% of your marriage time, if that. That's a lot of sex, 15%, compared to eating, sleeping, working, and all that. You know, 24-hour day. That means, like, I don't know what 15% of a 24-hour day would be anyway. That's a lot of sex in a lifetime. So I don't think sex is a major. It should be a major configuration in choosing a partner. Although back in the 60s, that free love was like, well, you know, their parents were like, oh, you know, there might have been an open mother saying, well, your father's not that great at sex, and he's not that big, and he really hasn't satisfied me since I've had kids, and blah blah blah. And so they started, you know, they became whores, looking for a bigger and bigger genitalia to satisfy them after they have a kid, you know. But then they're bored out, and they can drop a kid on the sidewalk without needing a doctor, you know. That's how much sex they've had, you know, compared to, of course, the 50s. There was people that had sex back in the day. They've had sex. There was people that had sex, and there was orgies back in Greek and everything else. But that doesn't mean everybody had it. You know, they might have. Who knows if it's changed over the time? It's just more popularized. People see that it's more this, so they take consideration. Well, everybody accepts it, you know, and then they go to church and they think, oh, church people, and then there's whores in church, you know. Get out of here with the stuff that thinking that there's a moral place you can go. You have to develop your own morals. But what I'm saying is, don't expect, you know, to find somebody that's going to satisfy you in cooking and how you want stuff organized, you know, because they're going to have their own. They're going to have this own agenda of me. It's not any more family. I don't think it's going to be more divided family where each person is an individual, they aren't a unit. So there'll be no support of this. You know, kids will be on their own unless one parent takes to a kid and says, "I want this kid to grow up and be good." You know, because I mean, I heard somebody saying the other day on a video where they're saying, "Well, let's you know, we want to put kids back in a preschool at 3 and 4 years old." I wish I'd never gone to a public school, to tell you the truth. I went to a preschool. All these so-called people that were supposed to be there to teaching kids, there was sex, there was drugs, there was child molestation. I mean, it was ridiculous. I didn't get molested, but I mean, there was girls there was getting molested, there was boys getting molested. You know, it was like, it was ridiculous. I mean, I'd tell you stories of it, but I don't want to expose the people, you know, that happened to. I mean, I think it's ridiculous. I don't think you should trust other people. You can't trust. I mean, look at nowadays. You can hardly trust a spouse with your kids. You know, you if you're not protective of them, then you got a problem. If you didn't have something to pass down, if you didn't have a lot, if you had kids just for a tax or just for the notification that you have kids, so you therefore are above everybody else that doesn't have kids. You did it for some other reason than that you had a bunch of skills. Say you're a real skillful artist, and not, I don't mean if you can draw a picture, or you're great at maybe you're a carpenter and you're real good at carpentry work, and you build cabinets, or you're a bricklayer and you do a great immaculate. You're real good with your hands. You could pass down something. You know, something skillful, something that you can go anywhere, something that's useful in life. You know, along with you can take care of yourself. You can garden. You can do all this. You can do mechanical. I mean, all this stuff. Unless you have all these skills, if you're just somebody breeding for taxes or for acknowledgement or something like that, you shouldn't be having kids. You have no right to have kids. If you don't want to protect your kids, and you don't want your kids to be better than you, and you ain't afraid to take a second seat to them, then you shouldn't have kids. If you're there just to oppress them, to have something to say, I'm better than you, without saying it, you know, you just say, oh, you know, oh, that's my kids, and you know, he's stupid, or whatever ignorant thing that parents breed for nowadays, or have been throughout time, because everybody else is. You know, if you're doing a breeding just because everybody else is, or we need the population, or you know, I'm supporting my race. So any ignorant freaking breeding thing, except I don't even believe in breeding. But since you people aren't going to stop, the only reason you should is that you have a bunch of skills that you think you have really built a talent, and you want to pass it down to somebody. Not that you should pass it down, not that saying that not even that you have the skills, but you don't have the ability to pass them down. If you're just one of those people because there are people like this that they have skills, but they don't want to teach anybody else. They don't want to pass it on, even their own freaking kids. They're like, no, I'm not gonna. You know, it's my skill. You're gonna have to develop your own skill. And don't say that you ain't a parent like that, because I don't know. I have failed to see where somebody doesn't want to pass it, except that hey, you know, I do a great bong shot. Or you ought to see me get drunk, man. When my kid gets older, he's going to be able to do bong hits, and he'll be able to do tequila shots just like me, or you know, whatever. I can fiddle around with a carburetor and get it running, and I'm great at fiddling around with this carburetor. Whatever. You don't have a skill set of ability to survive on your own. You don't have the ability to pass it on. You might not have the ability to teach. You just have the ability to obtain, but not to be able to teach. And that's where the problem lies. You people are just breeding because you see it, and you feel left out, and you feel, and so you turn around and you pass that on, that non-ability onto your kids, and it's just gonna. What do they call it? Compile, or whatever, build up, you know, down your lineage. It's just going to be where, you know, it's going to be like a race that just breeds and then leaves their wife and kids or whatever, and it's going to be big on that, which is, you know, look at divorce, 50%. How many have kids? How many kids? It's ridiculous. You people, no. I wouldn't want to be born to anybody. Tell you the truth, I don't think the human race is good enough to even breed. I don't think they've never perfected their race. I mean, look at them. You look at animals. You got a herd of 1 million animals. They get along fine. They might be a couple horn tussles here and there, but they get along fine. You put 1 million people out there, there's going to be murder, rape, thievery. You know, look, that's how it is. Animals are better than humans.